The Sean Campbell Show, a podcast for the aspiring and hungry entrepreneur.
Hey everybody, it's Sean Campbell, The Sean Campbell Show, a podcast by entrepreneurs and for entrepreneurs. And today I had actually this weekend I had a few conversations with some other business owners. It was very hypothetical. I mean, what would you do if you had an extra $50,000, $100,000 if you had received maybe a small business loan? One, would you take it? And two, what would you do with it? Let's say, you received a small business loan at 0%, just to make this more without getting into whether or not you would receive it or not. But I think for some business owners that I know, they're giving, the offers, I think it was 3.75, no payments for $200, right? But how would you invest that money to grow your business? Obviously you have to utilize it for business purposes. So that could, be a vast array of things, but what would you do if you had an extra, $50,000, $60,000 as a solopreneur in your bank account today? How would you invest it to grow your business? And let's go ahead and take in because it makes it more applicable and you have to give it more thought. If you do have to pay it back, and if you do have to pay it back beginning in 12 months at $200 a month, and let's set aside the interest rate, say we're not going to take that, even though it is very, very cheap money if it is at 3.75, which is what I heard it was. So if you had a small business loan and you got about $50,000 or $60,000, how would you invest that into your business to help you grow your business? So it is a very, I had a good array of questions and some good feedback back and forth on how other people would do it. And I think one of the most interesting pieces of information I got was that if someone had was in a situation where they were renting an office, maybe what you would do instead is look at what you're doing, if you didn't own a home, or if you did own a home, maybe sell it or use that as a rental property, then maybe invest it into a home and office, home/office, or however you want to do that. Or you would set up your home as an office too, so you could use some of that as a write-off. So I thought that was kind of an interesting take on it, that you would actually utilize some of that money for a down payment, and going forth you would kind of consolidate, instead of having rent or a mortgage, kind of put everything under literally one roof. So that was an interesting take on it. Another person was basically not really advocating much for upgrading all your hardware stuff, not really advocating if you have a desktop or cameras or video cameras or whatever, none of the hardware stuff, because it becomes so outdated so quickly, but more of the software and more of the processes. Or is there upgrades to what you're currently using that can make your day more efficient, a little bit quicker, without cutting any corners? So for example, if I'm using Hootsuite right now, that helps me schedule out all my clients posts each and every day. Could I upgrade my Hootsuite so not only could I utilize more platforms, but I could do it more quickly and more efficiently, and maybe even get better reports from it for my clients? So that was a good example, and I thought that was a good some good insight on it as well. Is there a way to maybe upgrade your office, upgrade, or maybe hire somebody? That was another answer that, I was in a conversation. Maybe you hire somebody that specializes in one area that you're a little weak in, and you want to, have them kind of help you build up that area. So, by all means, if you don't have an accountant already, if you don't have somebody who's, if you're really, really that busy, who's maybe a personal assistant, maybe something like that, maybe a really, micro part-timer can kind of help you. By all means, that 50 or 60,000 is not going to, you don't want to, in my opinion, you don't want to put it all towards that. But, how else what else would you do with that amount of money? It's a good question, because it's not like, what people are always talking about. What would you do with $1 million? How would you invest $1 million? And, that's, very I'm not saying it's unrealistic, but it's very improbable. Some businesses did get the $1 million, but they're a lot, they have tons of employees or whatnot. But as a solopreneur, this is a more realistic, question to ponder. Or, maybe someone were to loan you, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 at a very, very cheap rate. What would you do with that limited amount of budget, but still a good chunk of change to help you improve your business and ultimately provide a better service or product for your customers or clients? What would you do? So how else would you do it? And would you invest in maybe some real estate and turn that into a home office, or would you invest in upgrading your software? Would you increase your marketing efforts? It's obviously, that was kind of one of my first responses. I would really blow myself up on across everything: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, maybe even some LinkedIn. I would really explode in that arena, because I wanted to show my clients what they can do if they were to, commit to that type of budget. And I could really utilize my own marketing, efforts and utilize some of that to really test it out, not just for my brand awareness. Obviously, I know I would get tremendous brand awareness, but maybe test a few other things, maybe a few different types of techniques with video. Maybe another thing I would do is maybe invest into some more elaborate types of sales funnels, more elaborate CRMs, to where, we're running those lead generation ads, but we're getting a little more, in the weeds, so to speak, a little more elaborate, to where we're really capturing your audience and following up, not just with immediate ROI, but, keeping them as customers with consistent campaigns afterwards. So that's what I would do. I would invest most of it in the marketing. Surprise, surprise, right? So what would you do if you had an extra $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, in your bank today? How would you invest it in your business? What would you do? So I look forward to your comments on how you would do that. And please, I really, thank you for following me on YouTube. I'm going to put the little circle up here pretty soon. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. I really appreciate it. And you can listen to this. This is going to be a podcast form on the Sean Campbell Show at Spotify, Anchor, Google, Apple, and in several other places you could listen to your favorite podcast. So I look forward to your comments, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to The Sean Campbell Show. Follow us on Instagram at The Sean Campbell Show.